Kazual Sportz Show. The show exclusively known as the voice of the Arizona Cardinals fan club, the Bird Gang. Now, with your host, Earl Burnett, a.k.a. Casual E.
And greetings, Bird Gang, to another lovely Monday night. And of course, you know, with that comes another edition of the Casual Sportz Show. I am your host, Earl Burnett, and my co-host, Sean McConnell, in the house. And we are surviving another off season. And we are scraping up stuff to talk about. And it's starting to get redundant with this Kyler Murray thing. But that's what's going on, so we got to talk about it, Bird Gang. What's on tap tonight? I just told you, Cardinals, a couple of Suns things, and we got a guest that's going to be in the house tonight that's going to talk some NCAA tournament with us. My man, Brad Hanna's going to be in the house tonight. So kick back, Bird Gang. Get on Facebook Live. Join us. Put your questions out there. If you got anything you want to put down there about the tournament, about the Cardinals, free agency, whatever it may be, you know how to hit us up. Kazual Sportz, Kazual with the Z at the end of sports. And that is the tab for all three social media outlets. What's up, Sean, man? How's the week been?
Week's been crazy as always, man. I was telling you we got some family procedures coming up here health-wise, so it's always crazy for my family. But overall, it's good. It was a busy weekend. Got a lot of stuff done. Had a lot of fun as always. It was my dad's birthday, so shout out to Dad.
Sweet.
Another year older.
Mr. Ed. Another Ed, huh?
Yep.
All right, we're up on Facebook Live, so I'm trying to find it here. I don't see it on mine, but I'm pretty sure it's up there because you always got all the tech stuff going. So if you can't see me or whatever, I'm up there, I guess. I can't see it, but it's up there. Eventually it'll pop up somewhere. But okay, so let's start this show. Of course, we have to be Bird Gang first, and we have to talk Cardinals first. So Cliff Kingsbury, head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, was in the media a couple of days ago, finally coming back out and speaking a little bit more. And he put a few more fillers out there, you know, for the public and for the NFL and all these other teams in an interview that went down. And so I got a few cuts from that interview I want to dissect a little bit. They asked him, was he involved or is he involved in all the players or picking the players for this year's draft, is what he said.
So you're clearly being involved in this, the types of players you want, the types of guys who can help you succeed?
Yeah, Steve and Michael, it's a great relationship, and they want input of who fits in our offense, defense, special teams, and so they've been really good as far as letting us have our input.
Letting us have our input. That sounds a little suspect, but at the same time, it does say he is involved with trying to get the players that he wants to run his system. And that's kind of making all this thing go. This whole bus that everybody's driving, this Kyler Murray thing, that's what's making this whole thing go, is the fit of who fits in his system. And so what's your take on that as far as his being in control of who he wants in the offense?
And I'm going to try, I like to say little sound bites here and there and things like that. Quotables.
Right.
Input doesn't always equal output. Okay, so you can get all the input you want from Cliff, but Keim's going to Keim, and it's not going to always be what Cliff wants. So
right. Well, we got to get into Keiming later because he's got a lot of things that he has to get right when it comes to this drafting.
I take it from Keim's mouth himself. Back when in the BA days, he said, "This is the time of year where you don't trust anything that anyone says about anything."
That's true.
So I'm going to take it straight from Keim, and I'm not going to trust anything that they're saying, and I'm just going to trust my instincts, and the instincts still say Kyler's not the guy.
All right, I'm with you with that one for sure, 100%. And my man, Emery Hunt chimed in on that earlier on Facebook too and said something. I'm like, man, I got to get you in here real fast.
We do. It's the draft.
Settle down our dang on fan base because we got this Kyler Murray thing. Like, this is the man. But going back to Cliff and this interview, remember we asked, they asked him about his feelings about Josh. This is Steve Wycheck, by the way, who interviewed him. And he asked them about what they felt about Josh Listen up.
Josh knows our feelings on him. That hasn't changed. He's a tremendous talent. Had some tough adversity to fight through last year, some injuries up front. But I thought competed his tail off and worked hard and continued to get better. And so excited about his future.
Does that sound like a man that's trying to get rid of a dude?
It doesn't, but it also sounds like a guy who's trying to play every angle possible to get as many people listening and as many people with their ears tied to what we're going to do.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
I mean, you could always...
That's the right move.
It's the prototypical thing to say, yeah, we're going to stick with this guy. Yeah, he's our guy. Yeah, we're talking to him and all these things. Even if you're going to trade him, that's still what you say. Because you don't want to all of a sudden plummet his value.
Correct.
And making it obvious that we're going to trade him. So
yeah, because they're not going to actually just come out if they do trade him and say, well, he wasn't good enough. They can use that same thing he just said. Oh, Josh is a good player.
Absolutely.
He's that. They can still pump him up. So that's kind of weird, though. And then, remember last week we talked about, actually, it was me. It was Jay and I in Vegas. We were talking about they had to have talked to Rosen at some point. They have to have told him something what's going on because he's too quiet, first of all.
As a guy with zero knowledge on the matter, I definitely think that he's been talked to thoroughly, and I think it's, hey, this is all smokescreen. We're going to stick with you.
That's what I'm thinking, too.
Because, honestly, it's like, this is my opinion of it. You're getting a brand-new car. You drive it up the lot. It obviously depreciates right away, right? Especially behind that offensive line. It depreciates. Then you get the next year, the new model comes out. You're going to trade in that car that just lost all that value for the new model. You're just spinning your wheels and spending money on things you don't need to spend money on.
Right.
Better off using that asset of the first pick this year on something that can actually benefit you now and get your most bang for your buck.
Man, you should be a GM, dude. You make that sound like it's just that.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I'm one DUI away from being a GM.
Listen to what Cliff said about having talked to Josh.
I talked to Josh. He understands it's business and what all goes with the first pick and what's going on.
Do you foresee Josh being part of your team?
Yeah, I do. I mean, when you have the first pick, anything can happen, as you know. But he's a talented player, and we're very high on him. That hasn't changed.
Man, like you said, they're still leaving that window open. That little bitty window.
They have to.
Yeah, you have to. So yeah, that's. But remember in the beginning, and from what I remember when they interviewed Cliff Kingsbury in the beginning, his whole outlook was to come in and correct Josh Rosen, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But as soon as Murray jumped on the scene, all that changed.
Yeah, and I think that's just because they're trying to leverage that pick. I think they're really trying to, because the media wants Kyler drafted 1. It's obvious.
Yes, yeah.
It's blatantly obvious they want him drafted number 1. And so what the Cardinals are trying to do is they're trying to capitalize on that, and that being the main focus of let's trade our first overall pick to the highest bidder.
Right.
And in order to do that, you have to play every side and every angle. You have to build up Josh Rosen's value to make it seem like you're going to trade him.
Absolutely.
You have to build up the speculation of taking Murray so that if another team like the Dolphins or Denver wants him bad enough, they're going to trade up. And all the while, you have to do all this shuffling and all this smoke screening and these not direct answers so that you can make everyone think they just might do it. And if we want him, we have to jump in on that.
I did Bruce Arians' charity golf event this weekend.
Yeah, you were losing all balls all over the course, weren't you? That was you, right?
Somebody lost an eye and everything. No, but I did some hobnobbing with some of the insider guys, and I'll leave them nameless here, but their gut feeling is that this thing's actually it could actually go down, that they can actually draft this guy. I'm like, really? Have they been duped that good?
They have to have been. When you have this type of opportunity, you have to play it so close to the vest that there's no room for interpretation, that there's no room for anyone to get in there, trainers, towel boys, to get any type of inclining about what's going to happen. So you have to play it so close to the vest that you make everybody fooled.
Correct. Let me ask you this question, man. And this could be a question that would kind of lean toward the Cardinals maybe tipping their hand a little bit.
Yeah.
why haven't, or maybe I haven't, maybe it's just me, I haven't heard of it, but why haven't we heard the Cardinals bring in the other quarterback prospects like Haskins, Locke, and Jones? How come they haven't been linked to the Cardinals looking for or looking at them as well as they are looking at Murray?
My opinion,
tipping their hand saying, okay, it's going to be Murray or nobody, because from the beginning they were not in this thing for a quarterback to begin with. So,
and I think that's the main point of it. Is they're not in for a quarterback. They're in for something that's going to change their franchise.
Correct.
And Murray's being touted as a guy that can do that. Another Russell Wilson, if you will. All the measurables, everything. So they're looking at it as like, if this is a guy that can do that, that can change a franchise, then yeah, we're interested. And so, it tips your hand in a sense, but it also makes the guys that are serious know, okay, this is the best quarterback, or at least projected to be the best quarterback. That's the only one we're going for. And if you want him, you got to go get him.
Right.
Because if you bring in more quarterbacks, now it's, well, we don't know who the Cardinals are going to pick at quarterback. Now it's just more confusion. If you're more direct to saying, this is the quarterback we're targeting, if you want him, you have to get him. If you like Haskins more, you like Haskins more. But if you're going with Denver, Miami, and maybe even Oakland, if they're still being on the crazy train, they're going to go for that type of quarterback.
Right. You and I are in agreement when it comes down to we thinking they should stick with Rosen. But the question, like you just said, is Kyler Murray, is he the once-in-a-lifetime quarterback? Is he that talented guy that we're saying you can't miss, you can't pass this guy? Is he really that talented? I mean, when you think about the level of talent, we're talking about, look at Zion Williamson in the NCAA. You can see that level of talent. Like, okay, you cannot pass on this guy.
Right.
Is that Kyler Murray in the NFL?
I don't see that.
I don't either.
I don't. He's a very explosive player.
On the same page with it. I don't see that.
He's very explosive. He's very exciting to watch.
Right.
But that doesn't show me enough to think that this is by far and away the best guy that could ever be and ever will be.
I'm with you. I am with you, man. 100%. I just don't see. I mean, like you said, I do see some talent, and I do see some potential to be a good talent. But I'm talking about the guy that comes right out and instantly makes your team better. Instantly, just boom. I don't see that. I see another rookie quarterback that we're going to have to work with, and another year's going to go by that we're going to just kind of go up and down, up and down, up and down until he figures this thing out.
Especially with no O-line help. Or new O-line, at least having to have them gel. But, you know, it's crazy to me because this draft, I don't feel that about any of these guys.
Exactly.
This isn't the draft to build your franchise around one person. This is the draft to get your role players.
Exactly. Yeah, you got and as many picks as we have, and being the number one pick in each round, we better get the right guy. Which leads me to the next subject, is Steve Conway we were talking about earlier. He has to. He has no room to mess this thing up. He has to get every one of these draft picks correct, and they have to be those prospects that are going to make a difference on this team. Maybe not instantly, but at some point right away, a year or so, 2 years, you know.
I'll give him a window. He's got to hit picks 1 through 4, rounds 1 through 4.
Okay.
If he misses on 5 through 7, I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
Correct.
But we're almost at a disadvantage here having the first pick in this draft because if you're at our viewpoint, where Kyler isn't the guy and the guys in the first round aren't the guy necessarily, at least in the top 10.
Okay.
And if you don't draft down, now you're at a huge disadvantage because you're paying premium for a guy that you don't feel is a franchise caliber player.
Correct.
And so it's best to be in those lower ranges so that you can double up, so you can get a N'Keal Harry, so you can get a role player, so you can get another depth bench guy on the offensive line. And it's going to be tough to pull that off, but they have to keep playing this Kyler Murray train to get that to happen.
Absolutely. So let's dip into the first round. In my opinion, I don't think they could fail in this first round. I mean, they can fail, but what I mean by that is I'm saying, okay, can they go wrong with making X, Y, or Z pick? Because when you think about the top 3, he's either going to be this so-called, this is just according to all the analysis, it's going to either be this so-called dynamic quarterback, or it's going to be this dynamic interior guy, or this dynamic rusher. You can't go wrong. At least you got the chance to say that one of those guys are going to pan out. So if you end up with one of those guys, I mean, hey, they should pan out.
Right.
But he has missed on on this first round so badly in the past.
So
he has
badly.
missed on the first 3 rounds. Sort of, I mean, with the exception of John Brown, maybe, and an exception of a few other guys here and there. Look at the list. Go down the list and let's look at all of his stuff, all of his draft picks starting in the 3rd round, of course. Well, first round with Jonathan Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
These are all kinds guys that he's saying, this is the guy, and he's making these picks. 3rd round, Brandon Williams.
That was a tough one.
Yeah, like you said earlier, it's the first 3 rounds that are just so critical for him. And when you look back on his past, he has done some guys that you look at, you go, wow, that didn't pan out. I mean, the jury's still out on Robert Condici.
Yeah, well, it's going to be out for a while, and it's probably not going to come back till never. But I think, I think for the Cardinals, you have to go with the safest play here if you can't trade that pick, and I think that pick is Allen. I wouldn't go Bosa, and I wouldn't go Murray.
Really? So you think Allen's the better?
I think it's safer. I think it's safer. I think Bosa, Bosa with his health, I'm unsure. I don't like seeing a guy that's injured going into a draft. It's just a bad feeling about me. It's like buying spoiled produce and hoping it's going to get better by the time it gets to your fridge. And it's just not a good feeling to me. And then having a quarterback when you already have one, it's like buying produce when you already have the produce in your fridge at home. So it's just bad news for me. So I'd rather have Allen. It's just a safer, probably lower risk pick, even if it's at the number 1 pick.
Right. You ever had that type of feeling when you go waste money on something and you go, why did I buy that? And you go, I just wasted that. That's exactly what that would be like.
Not a good feeling.
If he doesn't pan out to be what everybody's got him up talented, I mean, he's got him projected to be.
Right.
That's Murray. But what are our current needs right now still with the free agency, in the holes in this team? What do we have to fill still right now as far as the free agency, the draft, and all those things?
Well, obviously we need more O-line depth. Depth is most important because there's no guarantee that you're going to have those same 5 guys week 17. It's just not going to happen.
Correct.
So I'd say O-line depth. I'd say defensive line interior for sure.
Right.
You could go with another edge rusher. I'm okay with that too. I think you need another linebacker, maybe some more corner depth, and obviously wide receiver.
Now, when you're saying interior and you're saying outside rusher and linebacker, you're saying the guys that we did get right now are not. Are you trying to get depth behind them, or you want somebody to come in over them?
Depth behind them, or if they outperform, they outperform. But we're getting some guys here that are bargain basement coming off of injuries. I mean, Hicks was coming off an injury, so
exactly.
I got to have depth there. If I've got a starter that's coming off an injury, I need depth. I need insurance. You got to get insurance policies on these guys in a way so that you can make sure if or when they go down, you got someone to fill in instead of somebody off the street.
Correct. Well, I'm looking at it like this. Okay, we are about 24.9 left in cap space.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, about $10 million of that's going to be allocated toward this year's draft class. So you're looking at probably about 14.9 still left.
Right.
That list we went over last week. Why didn't we go after somebody that we can bring in to give us a dynamic defense or a dynamic offense that says now you have to look out for the Cardinals because they have XYZ now. Why haven't we made that move and still having 14.9 in the cap space?
I'm a dreamer, Earl. I'm a dreamer.
I keep asking this same question every week.
Of those 3 teams I keep telling you about that could possibly trade for that number 1 pick, Denver, Oakland, and Miami, which team would you trade with?
Denver, Oakland, and Miami right now
Mm-hmm.
for this year's draft?
Mm-hmm.
I've got to be Oakland. They got the higher draft picks. They got 4, 24, and 27. And if they want to come up and get one from us and take Bosa or take Quentin Williams, I would more than likely let them have that.
Because you're looking at doubling down, right?
Heck yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, what if I told you we're saving that money to do a player for a pick swap? Would that change which team you're looking at?
Okay, so
Denver is offloading nearly everybody. Who's
Please
left?
don't get me all excited with
Who's left on Denver that is the only good player on that team left?
I know you're not about to say Von Miller.
The only player on that team that's good that's left is who?
On Denver?
On Denver.
Von Miller.
if you can't see me because you're listening and not watching on Facebook right now, I'm shaking my head like yes, and why not? Why not Von Miller for the first pick overall?
That would be freaking awesome if we could do that. But that's highly unlikely. That's not.
I told you I'm a dreamer.
Yeah, you are a hell of a dreamer. When you got that. Because that just does not seem like a Steve Keim Cardinal move to me.
It doesn't seem like a John Elway move either, but
exactly.
Crazier things have happened. Amari Cooper's gone for dirt cheap.
Yeah, that's true, but it ain't Gruden.
Gruden will call. He'll help facilitate the trade. He'll make it happen.
And we're going to take a quick break here because we're going to get ready for our guest that's going to be coming on in a minute. We got my man Brad Hanna from the Global Sports Broadcasting Network going to join us and talk some NCAA national attorney, whatever you want to call it.
March Madness, baby.
March Madness. There you go. Man, they should make this thing in April because April's the bomb. But now, March Madness. But okay, we're going to get back in a minute here and we're going to talk some more the NCAA. Stick around, Bird Gang. I see some questions coming up here on Facebook Live. What's up, Paper? What's up? How you doing out there, bro? You want us to make a movie? Is that what he's saying on there?
He said bust a move. Come on, man.
Okay. My eyes
bust a
bad.
move.
I'm like,
we're not making a movie. We don't got the budget for that.
I hope we busted a move for you tonight, Bird Gang. Stick around. We'll be right back. Casual Sports Show right here on KSRN AZ.com. We'll be right back.
Neighborhood joint located at 4717 East Bell Road is not just another restaurant. It's a community partner and gallery point. At MPX, everything is made from scratch. The menu is a creative spin on traditional American classic. Every item on the menu has a story behind it. From Ashley's biscuit chili, raised short ribs, to the PB&J French toast is a new favorite waiting for you. In addition to being the ideal neighborhood joint, MPX is committed to uplifting the community, partnering with local schools, hosting benefits, and give back. If you're looking to schedule an event, MPX, a neighborhood joint, is the perfect location to come together. And while you're there, be sure to check out the 195-inch TV. For more information, call MPX at 602-788-7134. Visit www.mpx.life. Follow us on Twitter at MPXLife. Like us on Facebook or stop in. Again, we're located at 4717 East Mill Road in King. MPX, the official neighborhood joint of the Easy Sports Talk Show. Be sure to tell a friendly and courteous staff Ed and Jim sent you.
This is Jay from The Focus with Jay Adams. I want to tell you about my friends at Majestic Services. Are you a homeowner? When was the last time you had your awnings cleaned? What about the oil stains in the driveway? Majestic Services has you covered. They're your pressure washing and window cleaning experts. With over 11 years of experience, they'll provide you with the free, no-obligation quote for your awnings, patio blinds, sidewalks, garage floors, driveways, and houseplants. You take care of your car by washing it, right? Well, the outside of your house gets dirty too. So whether concrete, brick, stone, asphalt, stucco, pool decks, and more, Majestic Services will remove dirt, oil, bird droppings, grease, and more. Give Matt a call at 602-881-8228. That's 602-881-8228. Commercial or residential, valley-wide. Let Majestic Services do your dirty work. 602-881-8228.
In this country, we say happy.
Happy New Year!
From all of us here at Casual Sports Radio Network.
You are listening to the best internet radio station on the web, KSRN, Arizona.
Welcome back into the Casual House, Bird Gang, and Sons Nation, and all of the Valley's fan base of all of our local teams. Earl Burnett, Sean McConnell, we are on Facebook Live, and we are doing the show here tonight for you, as usual. Hope you're enjoying yourself.
Another Suns loss, man. It's official.
Hey, that's helping us now, right?
125-92. Devin Booker 1 point shy of 60. 59 points. Still the only player on the team with double digits.
Wow.
I know we didn't want to get into this right now, but I had to just say it because I'm looking at it and it's making me mad.
Wow.
Come on, Ayton, step up.
All right, before we get to our next segment with my man Brad coming in, what was this thing you had going on about Johnny Manziel?
Johnny Manziel. All right, so he is now on Memphis's Alliance Football League team, and he's already talking trash, so I'm going to play a little clip for you. It's about 30 seconds. Let's hear it.
You want to start that way? We can go. I'll turn up a...
Bring the extra rusher. Manziel stands tall, goes left side, has a receiver, caught left sideline.
Here we go, Zane. Wide 80. Wide 18.
First play is a handoff to Stacy. No, it's not. It's a keeper. How about Manziel sliding past the 40? It fooled everybody in the building, including me.
It's like making a birdie on the first hole.
That's what he can do. It's a
So that's Johnny Manziel, ladies and gentlemen, tearing up the Alliance Football League, a league that can hardly play its players.
Oh,
pay
man.
its players.
I thought they were not going to play him yet. They already started playing him already?
The Manziel pressure is real in Memphis, apparently.
Man. Okay. How did he do in the game? If he talking all that trash, was he okay?
Yeah, I mean, it looked all right to me. He completed his first pass. That was in the second quarter, so they must have had maybe an injury or something that brought him in that early, but it looks like he's going to be taking over.
Man, I don't want to get off into what was going on with this dude, but how do you get banned from an entire league in an entire different place on the map? and then all of a sudden you cool coming in and you like nothing's happened. I don't get that. Somebody's brushing something under the rug when it comes to this dude, but
yep,
he got another shot. So I'm trying to get my man Brad. So let me see if we can get him on the line real quick. Hold on one quick sec here. I think he must have forgot he was calling in tonight.
Well, meanwhile, while you get him on the phone, I'll talk about a little bit of stuff that's going on in the NFL. Today we got the NFL coaches and GMs meeting in the Biltmore, Arizona, which is right down the street from us. Good to see Andy Reid sporting the shorts and the Hawaiian T-shirt. Always fun to have that. Other news, we got two retirees now in the NFL. You got Gronkowski and Jeremy Maclin, which was both a surprise to me. So, surprise indeed. A lot of stuff going around in the NFL. Kind of dead for now because it's, free agency boom is already subsided. But always an interesting week in the NFL every week.
Exactly. All right, so let's go ahead and get into what really matters in March. And I got my man joining us here on the Casual Sports line. We're going to talk some NCAA tourney. My man coming from the Global Sports Broadcasting Network. And you can catch him live every morning on Facebook Live on a daily. And my man, Cornelius Brad Hanna, I call him Brad. What's up, man? How you doing, Brad?
All right, very good. Thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, no problem, man. It's been a while, huh?
It's in Tucson. Great comeback.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Last year you missed the opportunity to do this show because, of course, you were doing paying good respects to our dear brother Keith Barlow last year. And but you did make the national championship game that we did at the Sonatas. Are you gonna be pulling that off again this year?
No.
Oh, come on, bro. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. I hear you. But before this tourney got started, man, I wanted to get your perspective because there's always the debate that goes on about who was overseeded or underseeded, or who should be there, who shouldn't be there. So what was your perspective on that starting out?
Well, I didn't think St. John's was that strong, but they did have some good wins in the Big East area that were good, but they just weren't fully loaded up to be into that tournament.
Right.
Where there were other schools. That was the only weak link, and it showed. It showed. And it wasn't like I was the one figuring that out. It just was kind of in my head. I was surprised.
Right.
St. John's was surprised that they got in. So.
Yeah, that's.
But, it's always hard, Earl, to get 68 teams in the tournament, and I believe it's a 68-team tournament, not a 64.
That's so true, man. That is so true. I was just about to ask you about that next. So I know you biased, and so what's your thoughts about ASU being one of those teams that were they actually in or were they not in? Well, they did actually make it in, but I'm just saying at the time they were for.
They deserved it.
Okay.
They were part of it in their conference. They were the second best in their conference regular season, and obviously Oregon turned out to be the best team in the conference, still alive, 12th seed. Out of all the seeding going on, they're their only long shot. Everybody else is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it does kind of look back on it and go, you know what, Oregon was that good. So what does that say for the Pac-12, for the top 2 or 3 teams?
Exactly.
That ASU did deserve that opportunity.
Okay.
And I don't think it was anything political like some people are trying.
Okay. Well, that's coming from a ASU alum, I'm sure. You got something, Sean? You got my co-host, of course. Sean. Sean is in the house, so you got something.
Brad, how's it going, man? Yeah, I just want to talk about. I guess we could just keep talking about Oregon. I mean, that's definitely the Cinderella of the weekend. Was there any other big surprises to you? Maybe teams that lost that shouldn't have, or did you have a 12 that went farther that should have, or how'd your bracket turn out?
I'm like social media friends with Rex Walter, the former KU guard, who played the NBA. He's been on my show, and he's going to be on the show probably tomorrow, if not Wednesday. We're going to find out in the morning. And he was working with Nevada, who got knocked out. And that school last year, surprised some people with their outside shooting, and just been a really good school this year. And the way they just got manhandled by it was Florida. I knew Florida was a good school. I don't think they were a 10th seed in the eye of the number 10. It's just that they just got it just was a different year, but they got hot at the end.
Okay.
So I thought that was going to be a tough battle, and I knew Iona was going to be a tough one because they were just lights out shooting, and they had North Carolina in that first half. I mean, they were beating them at halftime by 5 or 7 points, whatever.
Right.
And I didn't think it was going to last, but it was kind of what a lot of people were excited about. It was kind of fun to watch. I was hoping for a better finish, but I think Iona was a school that was surprised a lot of people with the outside shooting.
Right.
So.
So looking at this tourney right now, I mean, of this next round of the round of 32.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a record, right? I mean, it's like no upsets. So.
Yeah, you're right on. And I thought for sure we had more parity.
Right.
And that disparity between those seeds were a lot closer. And I've been like that for the last 2 years, and I thought this year was going to even be better. But I don't. It just went back. We went back 10 years or something.
Well, speaking of parity, Brad, speaking of parity, okay, so does that make Duke come down to the level with everybody else? Because they're supposed to be the home run winner in this whole thing. What do you think about them right now with that barely eking out
UCF?
Yeah, I mean, are they with the parity group, or are they actually elite over all these teams?
They're the elite of the fact that they're, but not far off. Like the other schools, they're beatable. I got to look at the matchup against Virginia Tech that they go up against is size. Obviously, North Carolina's size bothers them. That's why they battled with them.
Okay.
If Zion is not physical in the middle, so we saw what happened with, I call him Taco, but I believe it's Taco.
Man, that dude is crazy tall. You see the dunk he did by standing on his tiptoes?
Amazing.
That's
but
crazy.
You saw what happened. It created paint.
Right.
I don't think Duke is strong in the paint if it's not for Zion. Barrett, I think he's a little soft than some people are talking about.
Oh.
You know, like, I want to see that guy more aggressive.
Right.
He plays more perimeter, and I'm like, they need him more aggressive. So if he gets more inside and plays more physical, of course, but I think that's where Duke will have its problem against anybody who has a middle presence, in the paint presence that bothers them. And I don't know what VTech does, but we're going to look it over a little bit.
Yeah, but looking at that, you're talking about the interior. Looks like the game is changing because in my perspective, I agree with that. The interior usually wins you championships. If you can bang down low, that usually wins. But I'm looking at a lot of these analysts and a lot of these people are giving their insight about this whole tournament. And now it's if you can't shoot the three, you're not going to make it. And I'm like, what happened to the inside? So now you look at this whole tournament, there's a lot, and I'm telling you, man, it's so pathetic. It's so bad. A lot of bad threes being taken by every team. And it's like the Steph Curry has taken over infiltrated all of our youth. And it's like, are we going to win championships now with threes?
You know, it's a bad trend.
Yeah, it is.
It's not the basketball that you grew up with.
It sure isn't.
And I was watching that Kentucky game, and I was watching their coach got the halftime interview because he wasn't happy, and he goes, "These are a bunch of freshmen, and this is not high school where they were able to go one-on-one and take over."
Right.
And I said, they got to learn now, and we're going to have to learn right now. It was halftime. It was a tough battle, you know, and about playing teamwork, you know, pass the ball, you know, things like that. And they did that in the second half, and good things happened for them. But the game never changes when it comes to success.
I think so, too.
You know, it's like, pass the ball.
Exactly.
Who was that guy? Oh, my goodness. Central Florida.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who kept on shooting the ball, and he just couldn't. It was, anyway, it's like when you keep shooting and nothing's going.
Exactly. It just makes for sloppy, bad basketball to me. It's like nobody wants contact anymore. But off that subject and going on to the next thing, why do you think this year's tournament has been the highest rated tournament in years? Is that just star power, or is it teams, or is it? I mean, what?
It does help to have Zion's name.
Pretty much.
It really does, and that gives you a preview of what the NBA and the lottery and the draft it's going to be. This is like to me, it's like the Patrick Ewing when Patrick was drafted, or you know, and he
good point.
War was it or something like that?
Good point. Good point.
But you know, people are like following him like he's a legend already.
Right.
You know, and as long as Duke keeps playing, it helps the tournament.
Right.
That's what I thought of yesterday. Is like, if Duke gets knocked out, like, what are we watching now?
Exactly.
How excited are you?
Exactly.
You know, Duke is the villain still, and now they have this known guy. You know, that's going to be. I mean, CBS is like, please, Duke, get to the final.
Exactly. Yeah. You think they're gonna? You think they're gonna make it there? Because I mean, the way they played against that UCF, I don't know. I don't know.
Hey, what do you think about this Morant guy?
Oh, Ja in the house. Yeah, I'm hoping that's the Suns' next point guard for sure.
There you go.
But
I'm going to throw you something right now. I had this discussion yesterday.
Okay.
Suns get the number 2 pick because I think they get Zion if they go number 1, right?
Yeah, of course it's fixed.
I would trade Devin Booker.
What?
If you can get the picks that you can, I would go that route.
Okay, you got to explain that. Go ahead. Explain that one.
I don't know, Devin. I'm not sold on Devin. He's a guy who wants to take over games, but it doesn't come. Like it is. He is what he is, and I don't think he's ever going to be that guy.
Devin Booker is a finisher that just doesn't have the team around him to get him to the game to finish.
All right. So you have Morant, though. How does that work with him? That's my.
Because Morant is a pass first guard. He's not a shooter first. That's why it fits so good, because this guy is a facilitator. This guy sees the floor so well. You don't think he's going to find Aiden? Aiden's going to get more touches. You don't think Oubre's going to get more touches? And, of course, in clutch time, when it's time to close that game out, he knows who's supposed to have the ball. That's why he's that dynamic, and that's why he fits that team so good. And Booker is a closer.
He's a closer, but he's not elite closer stuff.
Well, he's still growing. He's still growing. He's got a ways. He's got some time still to grow.
It's hard to be a closer when you're down 20. That's hard.
Exactly.
That's hard for sure. We definitely need help in that area.
You definitely need some help for sure.
I mean, this is Klay Thompson stuff with Curry. Booker's not that guy. I don't, it's like, Thompson's one of the best shooters in the game. Like he's really good, Anyhow.
So real quick.
I think it's something to flirt with, because if they're not happy or satisfied, or they get more opportunities for getting more picks, or even getting a big guy, maybe trading and getting another name, another player, who would you trade him for to get a guy back that is a starter? Who can use a Booker, but the Suns can use who?
But I think we have to stick with the reality, and the reality is right now the Suns are building around Booker. So why would they all of a sudden trade Booker? They're building everything that they're drafting is around him. So he's already signed the big max contract. I don't think he's going anywhere no time soon, and everything is built for him and around him. So I'm looking at the draft and I'm going, okay, there's only two things they can do in this draft, or maybe three. If you get the number one pick, of course, you're going to take the man. You're not going to pass on the Zion. We know that. Right. Okay, yeah. Number two, if they end up number two, they cannot pass on the point guard. And then three, on number three, you trade that pick if you're number three and get some more assets for it, and then you build somewhere and get you a free agent somewhere in the, from a, around the league somewhere, a trade somewhere. That's it. Those are the only three things I see them doing. That's all that's there. That's worth anything.
I'm not saying trade him the way of like he's a bad apple or.
Oh no, I get what you're saying. You're talking just he's valuable and they can get something for him. Right. Okay. Right.
And you better get back something just as good in player, not like picks. Like I'm talking like trade for one for one, like.
Okay, give me a player right now that is going to be better than Devin Booker for the Suns.
I don't want to trade him in the division, but there's some good guys in that division.
Who? Please don't tell me Alonzo Ball. Please don't.
No.
Oh, okay, because I was about to drop the mic and walk off.
You're not even holding the mic.
Oh, hold the mic. Kuzma. And you think he's better than Booker?
He's pretty good, but I think is he more complimentary?
I think he's a role player. Exactly.
Hey, Brad, I just want to drop this note real quick. Booker today just became the number one leader in this list for the Suns, most 35-point games in a single season with 13, franchise record. Just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me in today's soft NBA.
Now that part I have to agree with.
Oh yeah, it's soft and soft.
Soft NBA is I don't want no contact. Let me do a step back three. That's pretty much.
He better score 35 because he's good.
Yeah, he's good. He's good, and I think he's good for this team. I just think he fits. I think he fits the Suns perfectly, to be honest. But we'll see how that goes down, man. And appreciate you with your insight. But wow,
that's a hot take, man.
Trading Booker.
Well, everybody's excited this Morant guy. I think, well, man, is this going to be a nice fit? And what happens? So I'm just like, I like talking this way because I want people to think out of the box a little bit and not be so content in debate and conversations.
Right.
And sometimes you come out with some answers like, all right, that makes sense.
Right. We are talking to Brad Hanna of the Global Sports Broadcasting Network, and he will make you think outside the box. And if you see him every morning on his show, those are the type of things you get to make you think outside the box. I love it, man. But
who do you like so far in the tournament that's left? Besides like the number one seeds, I'm looking at Oregon still because of their size and their defense, and it seems like it's working. Obviously, they really suffocate you pretty good. I mean, we've been watching it here locally, and their path going up against Virginia, then it's like Purdue and Tennessee.
I don't know, man. Like I said, this is why we have you on the show here, because I'm not really so much into knowing all these teams and what they're good at, and all I can see is the superstars. Of course, you see the Zions and you see the Jaws, and which is Jaws out of it now, but. And I would have to lean on Duke, because all I can see is who's going to stop that guy who's going to stop him, but it can happen, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, right now we'll run it down for you right now.
Okay.
Virginia Tech, 1-4. LSU and Michigan State, 3-2. Gonzaga and FSU, Florida State, 1-4. Texas Tech, man, they look good. Against Michigan, everybody wants them in the Final Four, but they're not.
They're not there yet.
Right. Virginia and Oregon. Virginia always been around the top 1 seed area all year long, And Oregon's playing amazing. And then you got Purdue and Tennessee, 3-2, and then North Carolina and Auburn, who just embarrassed Kansas, And then I got one more, Houston and Kentucky. And Kentucky, again, here we are, a bunch of freshmen running around who just out of high school, but coming together and back in the Sweet 16. Do they have that down in that program of getting these, one and done kind of guys? I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, they are amazing. They are definitely amazing.
The Houston Cougars are kind of reliving some of that, Fly Simon Jammin stuff back in the days in the 80s, Not that flying stuff, but the way they're bringing back some of the memories of the old days of Houston Cougar days with Elvin Hayes and guys like that. They've had a long history, and this is one of those tournaments where they're kind of, back in it and bringing back some memories.
Right. Hey, real quick, Brad. What is your take on Carolina winning this whole thing? Because they're the team that can probably take Duke down in a championship game.
Yes. They got so much depth, and they have really good balance inside and outside. And that's why they're good.
Right.
And that's why they can never quite get rattled. They were getting rattled by Iona. But Iona was doing its thing. They were shooting the threes like they do. And they were they shoot it like at 50% nearly the whole year. And they were still doing it. But they made adjustments. Coach Roy Williams, great legend coach, made adjustments at halftime and put more pressure and challenged them more and, made them more uncomfortable at the perimeter. And that's what great coaches do, and these players respond.
Right.
And so I think they've been tested already. And I think the point's well taken.
Absolutely. We are talking to my man, Brad. Hanna, go ahead and tell them real quick before we get this break where they can hear you at and what's coming up on the show next.
All right. So Global Sports Broadcasting Network is live streaming. It's .com. You can also find it on the Facebook podcast every morning. It's 9 a.m. Arizona time. And tomorrow at 9:15, right now, it's scheduled for Rex Walter, former KU, great guard, great college basketball player, also NBA player. I think he played 7 years. He's coached in the college ranks as a head coach, so he knows a lot about the tournament.
All right.
Tomorrow we're going to pick his brain a little bit and how losing in the tournament feels like and how it goes on, because they're coming off that Nevada loss, that he was part of that team, that staff. So,
all right.
Looking forward to tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.
Hey, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming in the Casual House again, man. And we've got to do this again soon.
Thanks, Brad.
And we appreciate your insight on this tournament. And look for him in the morning. You get all that insight. That's Brad, Hanna, Global Sports Broadcasting Network. Stick around, Bird Gang. We'll be right back. We're going to take another break. Casual Sports Show right here on KSRN, your Casual Sports Radio Networks. Clear.
Clear.
Retirement, Debbie Bishop of Homeowners Financial Group USA LLC is there to help. As a generational lender, Debbie assists everyone from first-time homebuyers to seniors looking into reverse mortgages. With products like FHA, VA, conventional, and jumbo financing, Debbie will work with with you to find the loan to best fit your needs. Call 480-305-8505 for a consultation or apply online at homeownersfg.com/Debbie Bishop. NMLS number 234947, BK0906222, and NMLS number 93718, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey entrepreneurs, community leaders, and influencers, your brand is losing 11% of its bottom line because your brand's experience is all over the place. Between a website, email list, and multiple social media channels, how can you expect your audience to get the message? For just $30 a month, unify your messaging and audiences into its core with a core link community. No longer will your audiences have to guess which web page, buried social media post, or old email has the information they're looking for. It can all be found in your core link community. Your customers, donors, or followers will thank you. Your community also comes with e-commerce, so you can now sell within the same place you interact. You're literally giving your audience the best tool to support you. Whether your organization has an online presence or needs its very first, your brand could benefit from total unification. To get yours, visit corelink.com. That's CORLINC. No E and ends with a C. CORLINC. As an Easy Sports Talk listener, get an additional month free by visiting corelink.com/ed.
When you think music, think Milano Music. A family-owned and operated establishment since 1946, Milano Music's mission has always been about sharing our enthusiasm of music with others. Located in historic downtown Mesa, Milano Music's 25,000 square foot showroom includes a huge wall of guitars, digital pianos, keyboards, PAs, percussion, and so much more. Whether you plan to buy or rent, Milano Music also has the best selection of band and orchestra instruments in the valley. The showroom and repair facility are open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. For more information, check out MilanoMusic.com. That's MilanoMusic.com.
What's good, Arizona? This is Front Line Music Militia. And we're listening to Casual E on the Casual Sports Show. The exclusive voice of the Bird Gang. You know.
Welcome back into the Casual House Bird Gang, Suns Nation. Earl Burnett, Sean McConnell. Thanks again to my guest, Brad Hanna, for coming in, talking some NCAA tournament with us and some Suns and some interesting things he threw out there on the table, which I'm pretty sure all of Suns Nation would be like, somebody find something and shoot that guy.
Oh, man.
No, but I'm just joking. But hey, and when it comes to the business like this, you know, anything's possible, I guess.
Anything
but
is possible.
I don't think trading Booker is going to be, of course, one of those things.
That would be one of those things that gets Robert Sarver run out of town.
For sure.
Literally run out of town.
For sure. Okay, so in this final segment of the program, we got about a few minutes left here, man. What's on your mind?
Well, I mean, for starters, yeah, I don't want to see Booker go. I think that would be a very tough thing for the fans to swallow after all they've invested into him.
Absolutely.
And especially now after breaking that franchise record, 35 points, most games with 35 in a season with 13 of them. Pretty
What did he finish
impressive.
with tonight? 60? Oh, 59?
59, yep.
Wow.
Another thing, did we cover last week Darius Philon getting signed for the Cardinals?
Oh no, that was after the show.
The day after the show, right?
So yeah,
that might
remember last week I told you that the Steve Keim signing was going to be the one a little further down the list.
And this is probably the best one. I mean, we had the best one last week, but this might be the best one based on potential, based on how much the Chargers wanted him and the Patriots wanted him.
Okay.
If you got the Patriots wanting a guy and you get him from them, it's a good deal.
So doesn't that cover then the interior then, or do you still need depth?
Especially in this new defense that we're switching out, there's a lot more subs. There's a lot more substitutions.
Okay.
I want a little bit more depth, especially since Golden's gone. I want a little bit more depth. So whether that's in the draft, that's fine, but I just want depth. So I think if like I said, if you can't get rid of that first pick, I'd go with Allen. You get tons of depth.
Okay, so you're Steve Keim. What are you doing with Robert Condici?
Maybe you get a fifth for him. Because, I mean, you cut him, you get nothing. You play him, you get 6 games out of him. So
cut him, you get nothing. You play him, you get nothing.
Basically. it's the nature of the beast. If he can finally find a way to put together a full resume of a year, then maybe you can work something out. But it's going to be tough for him to do that. I really think he's going to end up on the way out. If not this year, maybe next.
Yeah, he seems like one of those guys that gets motivated for pieces, for a time.
Mm-hmm.
And then he thinks that when he gets motivated and he actually does it one game or two games, that he thinks that's it, that he's arrived. Because you start seeing him interview and starting to say he's there. But dude, we got to let's do this consistently
right.
on full season basis.
Or whether it's maybe he gets double teamed and that's adversity he just can't overcome,
right.
And then the injury happens and then it's just a spiral, and it's hard for a player to shake something like that. But I wish him the best. He has a lot of potential if he can just put together a full season.
Yeah, we got some events that are going to be coming up, of course, that are going to be dealing with the draft. Hopefully, we're going to be out there on the lawn on draft day. And usually when we do the draft, we're waiting for pick 14, pick what, 12.
Yeah, we got to get there early.
We can't afford to be late.
Nope.
We got to be right there on the spot because I don't know. I think they're keeping this first pick. I think they're going to draft either Williams or Bosa. I mean, that's just, to me, are safer picks. And you might think Allen's a safer pick, but either way, a defensive guy is going to be the safer pick, in my opinion. So, but Kazual Sportz, we would try to be on the lawn on draft day. And also we have Fitzgerald's softball softball game that he has every year is going to be coming up. And you don't forget that Frontline and Chris Styles from Frontline Music Militia has a charity event going on for breast cancer. Our breast cancer, Tahada, what's her? I forgot her name again. She got one of those names. I can't get it real quick here. What is it, Chris? Help me out. Sorry about that. My timing is off. Ventura Tejada. She's going to be the cancer patient that they have raised all this money for, and all these things are going to be going down on the 31st Sunday at the. Get this flyer up here. I should have had this already set. Always be prepared. At the where is this thing at? Chris always send me these things. Desert Rose. Sorry. I don't know why I don't know that by heart by now, but I always like to make sure I'm on point with it. But Desert Rose going down on the 31st, 2 o'clock. And you can bring anything you want to donate to this whole thing. Of course, we've donated autographed pictures and everything that's going to be auctioned off. And they're raising all this money for her and her family and her 3 kids because she's a single mother and she's with breast cancer. And so that's the whole thing's going down on the 31st. So you don't want to forget that bird game. And thanks again to my man Chris and Christina for doing that. Sorry I messed up that piece for y'all. But we're going to throw some stuff up there from Kazual Sportz and do a commercial for it as well to do a promo for this whole week. But other than that, man, it looks like we are to another end of another wonderful show. I want to thank again Brad for coming in. And until next week, Bird Gang, Earl Burnett, Sean McConnell, thanks again. We will catch you next week, Bird Gang. Peace out. We gone.
We gone.